Welcome to the season finale of Stick to Sports. I'm Brian Burrows.
And I'm Ben Diamond. Today, we take a look at Week 14 of the NFL season and at the NBA and NHL.
Roll it! The Miami Dolphins are in a fight for the top seed in the AFC playoffs. They had a Monday Night Football matchup with a rebuilding Titans team with rookie Will Levis at the helm. An injury to Tyreek Hill held the Dolphins to only 27 points. The Titans, down 27-13 with just over 4.5 minutes left, scored twice. A pass to DeAndre Hopkins and a run by Derrick Henry gave them a 28-27 lead with under 2 to play. The Dolphins couldn't answer and took their fourth loss of the season. Ben, if Tyreek's injury persists, can they make a deep playoff run?
I mean, it's certainly a possibility, as Tyreek is so key to their success and how much they're winning. I mean, 1,500 yards already on the season. I mean, he's absolutely the number one piece in that offense, no matter who says what. It's the obvious choice. But I think with all the question marks in the AFC right now, you have to think that even without him and with Jalen Waddle stepping up, I think there's still a chance they could win at least one game in the playoffs. It's just going to be a little bit more treacherous to get down the line through the rest of the regular season, into the playoffs. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how they handle it if he ends up being out an extended period of time. But I think Waddle, in his absence, even though he could be wide receiver one on any other team, I think he could step in and take his place in a pretty solid role.
I agree. I think one playoff win is definitely possible. I don't think any further. I think once you get to the championship game, that Super Bowl, it's just not going to happen. Tyreek Hill is their only good receiver besides Waddle. They don't have a 2. They don't have a 3 behind Waddle. They have good running backs. Mostert and Achane can definitely carry the offense, but they need more than that. Tyreek Hill has been 27% of the offensive yards for this team this year through the air. It's a ridiculous amount of yards. He is the main part of the reason that offense is clicking so much this year.
The Dallas Cowboys went into Sunday night needing a victory over the 10-2 Eagles, and they got one in blowout fashion, beating the Eagles 33-13. The Cowboys as a whole were on fire, as the offense got going right from the beginning, and the defense did not allow the Eagles to get into the end zone. Dak Prescott boosted his MVP case with a strong performance, throwing for 271 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Cowboys' end-of-season gauntlet has only just begun. Brian, do you think this team can win out after the performance we saw on Sunday?
It depends. First, they have the Bills. I think it's a win. Bills are a good team. They're not a great team. I think they got lucky this week with the Chiefs. We'll talk about it a little bit later. So I think over the Bills, it's a win. The Dolphins, I think it depends on Tyreek's injury. We just talked about it. If he's playing, I don't think they can win. If he isn't playing, I think they do get the win. The Lions will be a tight one, but I think it's a win, and the Commanders, it's a yes. So I think really the big question is the Dolphins and Tyreek Hill. But to win the division, though, they have to win out. The Eagles have the Seahawks, Giants, Cardinals, and Giants. Again, it's a cakewalk schedule for them. They're going to win all those games, so they have to win out. So with the loss of the Dolphins, I don't think they do it.
You know, it really is an interesting end, because the Eagles, as you said, have a very easy schedule to end out the season, but the Cowboys still have a gauntlet. They still have the Dolphins, they still have the Lions, they still have these teams that can really beat them, or that have been really good so far this season, that can, come out and score 40 points and, never know what hit them. But I think right now, coming off the best overall game they've played this season so far against a team that's been really good in the Eagles, right now they need to go into next week against the Bills. They need to win on the road. That's been their biggest kryptonite so far this season, is winning on the road. If they can do that against the Bills, even though the Bills haven't been great this season, if they can go in and win, it says a little bit something about this team, and maybe they can get something going to end the season and going into the playoffs.
The Atlanta Falcons and Tampa Bay Buccaneers faced off in a battle for the NFC South lead. Though both squads are under 500, a weak division has led it to a tight 3-team race that includes the New Orleans Saints. If the Falcons win the game, they would have taken a 2-game lead over the Buccaneers, and it looks like that would have been the case after a late touchdown drive gave them a 25-22 lead. The Bucs then drove the field and took a 29-25 lead. A late Hail Mary attempt by the Falcons with time expiring was caught by Drake London, but at the 3-yard line, so the Bucs won the game and took the division lead, though all 3 squads are tied at 6-7. Ben, which team is taking the NFC South?
Brian, the NFC South is, right now I'm calling the pit of doom, because 6-7, and those are the teams that are fighting for the top spot in their own division. They're fighting for a spot and a home field advantage in the playoffs as well. Just very, very bizarre from this NFC South team. These NFC South teams they're looking a little bit like the AFC right now with the wild card. Very just a bizarre situation. But the Falcons have the easiest schedule down the stretch in the last 4 games. But these teams have lost games they should have won and won games they should have lost. It's very just bizarre from all these teams. But I think the Buccaneers could end up winning it because I think they have just the most talent of the 3 at the top of the NFC South.
It might be the homer me, but I'm taking the Falcons. They do also have the easiest schedule. They have the Panthers, the Colts, the Bears, and the Saints. I think all those games are winnable for the Falcons, so they've been iffy at times. They already beat the Saints, and those other 3 teams are just not that good, especially the Panthers. The Bucs get the Packers and the Jags, 2 teams that could easily beat them, and the Saints have the Giants, who have looked good as of late, and the Rams as the Bucs as well. I think all those other teams could easily lose games. The Falcons have the easiest schedule out. They're all tied. I think the Falcons take it all the way. And I think they've also been using Drake London and Kyle Pitts a lot better lately, so their offense is really clicking.
Yeah, it really depends on whether or not using Bijan Robinson, Drake London, and Kyle Pitts correctly, then they can win more games. Moving over to the AFC North, the Cleveland Browns have had a quarterback carousel all season, and Joe Flacco is the latest to step up and grab an important win. Flacco threw for 311 yards and 3 touchdowns with 1 interception in the win. The Browns now stay on pace in the AFC wildcard race, hoping to make the playoffs despite the amount of injuries they have faced this season. Brian, do you think the Browns have a chance to win a playoff game, and if they get the opportunity to?
I say yes, actually. Joe Flacco first is a very capable quarterback. We saw it in this game. He can really lead an offense. He's a veteran presence to really calm that offense down with all the quarterback problems they've had this year. So I think as Flacco quarterback is definitely a good presence to have and could lead to a playoff win. I mean, he made it all to the Super Bowl. The offense is clicking. Kareem Hunt and Jerome Ford have been really good this year for this team. The emergence of David Njoku, especially under Joe Flacco, has been amazing. He's finally having that time to shine. And their defense is still really, really good. They had 3 picks on Trevor Lawrence, who has been shaky this year, but he's still a good quarterback. So I do think, especially the defense, could carry them easily to 1, maybe even 2 playoff wins.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this defense is really, that's the talking point right now because that carousel, you don't really know what you're going to get week by week from the Browns quarterback. But if we see what happened with Joe Flacco this past weekend, then you have to be excited about what the offense can do if they're consistent. But I think ultimately the defense is good enough to win at least 1 game. But I think past that, I don't think they really have much shot to go much further down in the playoffs. As for the Jaguars, their chances are hanging by a thread. If Trevor Lawrence is out for any sort of time, I think their playoff chances are over. I think the Colts might end up jumping them. The Texans jump them in the standings and get that spot in the playoffs.
We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll get into some more NFL, the NHL, and some MLB offseason here on WTOP 10.
Say, President Stanley, whenever there's bad weather, who would you turn to?
I'd turn to Storm Team 10.
No,
right
but you've
here.
got to say it like this. Storm Team 10. Say it with me. Storm Team 10.
Roll it.
Jill
Should we
told me it
tell
was
him?
Kitty from Glee. Yeah, what is it?
Al Roker.
Welcome back to Stick to Sports. Down 2017 with under 2 minutes warning, the Kansas City Chiefs were in the midst of what looked to be a game-winning drive. Patrick Mahomes then found Travis Kelce for a 24-yard to the Bills' 24-yard line, who then lateraled it to a wide-open Kadarius Toney, who ran it to the end zone. The play was called back for offensive offsides because Toney's foot was on the line of scrimmage. The Chiefs failed to finish the drive after that and fell to 8-5. Ben, what are your thoughts on the call and the Chiefs' reaction?
I mean, Kadarius Toney was blatantly offsides. There's no questioning that. He was way past the line of scrimmage. I wouldn't say way past the line of scrimmage, but he was towards the back of the football, more close to the Bills than to his own Chiefs. And that's what he's called for. And I understand why they reacted the way they did, but I feel like they did it too much because of the way they've gotten calls in their favor the same way, and they obviously wouldn't say anything because it was for them. So really, it's ticky-tack call, and ultimately, if the Chiefs want to have success, they shouldn't be in a position like that. They should just play to what we expect instead of getting in that position late in games.
No, I agree. I mean, his foot was obviously on the line, and I saw stills that his foot was on the line on multiple other plays. It just wasn't called. So I think it's just better at coaching. He needs to step back. He needs to know that he was over the ball there. He can't do that. And the reaction was totally unwarranted.
Completely. I mean, you've gotten those calls for you before. Shouldn't be reacting like that. But the Detroit Lions, who currently lead the NFC North at 9-4, lost badly to the Chicago Bears on Sunday, 28-13. The offense was non-existent in the second half, allowing the Bears to pull away and take the win. Jared Goff was 20 for 35 with 161 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions in a miserable performance for an offense that has looked unstoppable at times. Should the result worry Lions fans as they approach the playoffs?
Absolutely. They should be worried not even from this result, but from the last 3 results, really. Last week's win over the Saints, before this, was not a good win. They got the lead early. They gave it all up. We talked about it last week. Before that, they lost to the Packers, who at that point were just starting to get their momentum going. So they should be really worried. Jared Goff has a 7 touchdown to 5 interception ratio over the last 4 games. The emergence of Jahmyr Gibbs lately has been nice, but the entire team has been completely faltering. They have a -9 scoring differential since the bye week.
Yeah, I'm worried about this Lions team as well. They have taken a huge step forward this year as a whole, and it's something to really be proud of, but they aren't there yet. They still have a lot to do, and it's been evident in a few games, especially against the Bears. A lot more to do with this Lions team going forward, but you like to see the progression from the last few years to this year.
Despite a 40-point performance from Bogdan Bogdanović off the bench, the Atlanta Hawks lost their 4th straight game 129-122 to the Denver Nuggets. The Hawks now sit 10th in what looks to be a strong Eastern Conference, 3 games back of the Cavs and only a half game up on the rafters. Ben, is it time for the Hawks to hit the reset button?
Absolutely not, Brian. It is not time yet. They're only 4 games under 500 right now, and it's way too early to really be saying, oh, yeah, it's time to reset because you're not in a playoff spot. But they are. They're in a play-in spot right now. They're in the 10th seed, as you said. They're in a spot to play for a playoff spot right now. So they have a chance to make some noise if the season were to end today. Obviously, the season doesn't end today, so they still have more work to do, but they just have to catch a little fire, string a few wins together, get some consistency, and then we could see them get somewhere. But it's still a little too early to really say, okay, we have to reset.
No, I agree. I don't think the Hawks are right. This is still a young team. They're still growing as a team, even though Trae Young is kind of a veteran now. Trae Young is himself under contract through 2026, 2027. DeJounte Murray, 27, 28, and they just gave the contract to Onyeka Okongwu. Even if they wanted to reset, they couldn't give up the stars. I don't think it's time for them. Give it another year at least with this coach, and don't fire Quinn Snyder quite yet.
Absolutely. It's still a little too soon to make any drastic decisions. But the Los Angeles Lakers defeated the Indiana Pacers 123-109 to win the NBA's first ever in-season tournament. LeBron James was named the first ever MVP of the tournament, averaging 26.4 points, 8 rebounds, and 7.6 assists. Brian, what are your thoughts on the tournament as a whole?
This was a success for the league, I think. It was a really good idea. They finally got something to get fans back engaged. I think get the players engaged too. Teams were all over this, and you could see that they wanted to actually win and wanted the success. It was, you saw it with the Celtics running the score up on the Pistons. Was it the Pistons?
I think yeah.
Running the score. Oh, the Bulls. Because they needed to get the scoring differential up to make it into the playoff. The teams liked it, the players liked it, the fans liked it. It was competitive. It was fun to watch. I think this was a great thing for the league, and it was definitely a success.
Yeah, I think it was really cool to start. I think seeing all the cool new courts, the interesting, playing on not just your normal hardwood, just playing on these colorful courts, was really cool. And seeing team try and play for something. But I felt once my team, the Knicks, I felt like once they got eliminated, I kind of lost interest in it. I kind of wavered. It was like, okay, we're not playing for anything. It's just regular season still. It's whatever. So kind of lost a little bit of interest, but the viewership numbers were up. Still 5.5 million watching that final game. So it had some success, and I think it will continue, and I think it'll just grow even more as it gets fleshed out.
The Seattle Kraken made the playoffs last year in just their second year as a franchise. This year hasn't gone as well. They sit 12th in the West with 25 points and broke an 8-game losing streak with a 4-0 shutout of the Florida Panthers. Ben, was last year a stroke of luck, or are they just sitting in a hard stretch?
Maybe a little bit of both here, Brian. I think you can't really say it's one thing or another. At this point in the season, you're looking at a team that, hasn't looked great so far, but they did have a really solid rebound season last year. And maybe that's what they need. They need just a rebound game, a rebound stretch, where they go on a run and they kind of create some consistency within themselves. But because obviously they're not a bad team, because they're coming off of a really solid season where they made the playoffs. But right now, I don't think they have the ability to really surpass that yet, but I don't think they're necessarily a bad team. I still think they could be a playoff team, but right now, nothing beyond maybe the first or second round.
I think they're probably going to miss the playoffs this year. Unfortunately, they just haven't looked like the team they were last year. Matty Beniers is off to a very slow start, just 4 goals, 9 assists in the 30 games. Jared McCann, on pace for 35, had 40 goals last year. And I think the biggest thing, they didn't make any significant signings in the offseason. We mentioned this with the Islanders earlier this year. They didn't bring any new blood to this team to really help invigorate the team going into a new year.
Speaking of the Islanders, after a very rough start to the season, the New York Islanders have turned their season around, collecting points in 12 of their last 13 games. This stretch of games has also placed them at second place in the Metropolitan Division with 33 points. Brian, what has been the key for their success as of late?
First, Matt Barzal has been playing very well as of late. 10 points in his last 6 games. Add to that Noah Dobson's 9 assists in his last 6 games. The stretch that they're on has been a whole team picking up, but especially their stars, Barzal and Dobson, really helping out and finally kind of picking the slack up that they had been missing from essentially new acquisitions they didn't get in the offseason. The team, 25 goals in the last 6 games, so just 20 goals allowed. It's just been a whole team effort. They're finally doing what they needed to do to get in a run, to get in a good stretch, and finally some momentum could very easily lead them up this Eastern Conference.
Absolutely. I mean, their offense has been way more consistent. When you're talking about Matt Barzal paired with Bo Horvat on that front line, you're looking at the guys that are really meshing right now. And they were when he first came over, Bo Horvat, from the trade from Vancouver. And then there was the injury to Barzal, and they didn't really get a lot of time together. But now they're really showing consistency. The power play right now, top 10 in the league at 24.3%. They still have been having a rough time in the third period. They, again, 2 games against the Maple Leafs, they blew the lead in the third period with 6 seconds left. They were able to win it. They're able to get the points, but they need to have more consistency on defense and keeping the opposing teams off the board. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk about the MLB offseason here on Stick to Sports.
Hey there, I'm Al Roker, class of 76. Yes, way back in 76. Back when the earth was cooling. You're watching WTOP.
The Kind of Late Show with Chloe and Anna. Like licorice, Twizzlers, absolutely nasty. The thought of turkey is just nauseating.
I think you're wrong, is what I think.
You think I'm wrong a lot of times.
I do think you're wrong a lot.
When you look at the number of disasters in the U.S., chances are every area will deal with some kind of emergency in the next decade. And between school, sports, and social lives, chances are you won't be with your kids when it happens. Will they know what to do? Ready.gov/kids has the educational tools and information to make the conversation easy. When the time comes, chances are they'll feel prepared, not scared. So talk with your family today.
Put the keys down, Kevin.
But I'm gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
I guess I have really been looking for love in this dating app. Yep, I'm definitely gonna call a ride home.
Welcome back to Sports. Some major moves have happened this offseason so far. Let's get into it. The biggest contract in North American sports history was signed over the weekend, with Shohei Ohtani signing a 10-year, $700 million contract with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Reportedly, $680 million of the $700 is deferred to the 10 years following the deal, meaning Shohei will only be paid $2 million per year for the 10 years of the contract. Shohei will not be able to pitch in 2024, but should be back on the mound in 2025. Ben, is $700 million overdoing it?
I mean, you can't say it's overdoing it when you see what this guy does on a regular basis in the batter's box and on the mound. He does it all, and I mean, I know he's going through Tommy John. He's not going to pitch this year, but I mean, $700 million, and right now he's only going to get paid $10 million through his actual contract. I think that's absolute insanity, and really, I can't believe that there was this loophole the entire time and nobody took advantage of it. Through all these, as contracts have gotten bigger and bigger, nobody's taking advantage of contracts like this. I think that's absurd that this is just able to happen. But I mean, really, I mean, he deserves it because he is two players. So he's getting $500 million for how good he hits, and he's getting $200 million for his pitching, and because he doesn't pitch this year. So it's $200 million is for the rest of his contract, and then he might not even pitch. He might be the closer. So it's really $500 million for the hitter, and then $200 million for the pitcher. I mean, I think it's a really great deal all around, but I mean, I'm pissed that other teams haven't done this before, because this really takes up the balance away from the rest of the league.
No, I agree. Shohei Ohtani, the contract deal was really good, and apparently he asked for it all to be deferred, which means he's first taking a huge risk with that, tax purposes and what else. But the fact that the Dodgers only get a $4 to $6 million bargaining tax hit is huge. They get about another $20 to $30 million now to play with to sign other free agents, bring in other players around him. He wanted a team around him. He got what he wanted. He got also the money. It's a crazy way to do this, and he did a really good job in a great place for him to sign as well. The Dodgers are going to be just contenders for years to come.
Absolutely. I mean, there'll be years to come, 10 years, and he's only getting paid $2 million. The best players will get paid $2 million. So they get to sign whoever they want with the extra cash every single year. And right now, we're going to talk about it a little bit later, but they can get more assets for this team going forward. They already have Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Shohei Ohtani for $2 million. They can get somebody else for the lineup. They can get somebody else for the rotation. They can do so many different things right now, and it's just absolutely. It's mind-blowing that, again, nobody else has done this before, and there's a loophole the entire time. I'm appalled that nobody else has done this before. It's really, I mean, I don't think it's good for the game at all.
You just want your Yankees to do it.
No, I don't think it's good for the game at all, because this could hurt small market teams right now. But after lots of back and forth between the two teams, the New York Yankees and the San Diego Padres agreed to a deal that would send Juan Soto to the Bronx. And the headliners heading to the Padres in the deal were star multi-inning reliever Michael King and the Eastern League Pitcher of the Year prospect Drew Thorpe. Brian, do you think the trade package is worth it for the Yankees, even though there is a chance they only get 1 year of Juan Soto?
I'm going to be cynical. I'm also a Red Sox fan, but no, I do not think it's worth it. Soto was great. Been saying a lot. Future Hall of Famer. He's so good. The vision is great. He is a great player. He could be an MVP next to Aaron Judge in New York. But they gave up a lot. Michael King looked great as a starter this year. They extended his arm. He looked really good. He could have been a starter for the future for them. They gave up a lot of pieces. Johnny Brito had looked promising in this year. He wasn't the best, but there was definitely some promise that he could be something in the future. Higgy, not a big loss, but it just hurts. You know, he's been in that system for so long. 14 years with the franchise, 14 years in the organization, and they had to give up. And 1 year of Soto, I don't think he's re-signing. I think that he's going to go somewhere else. He's going to hit that market. He's going to get a $400 million contract because he's so young and so good.
Yeah, I think it really would hurt and not be worth it if he doesn't sign back, especially for a guy like Drew Thorpe. Like I'm a guy who enjoys seeing prospects come through the ranks, and he was really, really good this year. So to see him get shipped away, and then for a player that might not come back, will be really disappointing, especially if Soto doesn't come back.
The Los Angeles Dodgers are continuing to try and bolster their team, with reports today saying they're looking to make a deal for the Tampa Bay Rays pitcher Tyler Glasnow and Manuel Margot. Ryan Pepiot was the player that's reportedly being offered back with outfielder Johnny DeLuca. Glasnow has 1 year and $25 million remaining on his contract, but has a long list of injuries to his name. Ben, is this a piece the Dodgers should be looking at to fix their rotation?
Absolutely. I mean, if they can get it done, they should, because they do need starting pitching. Of course, you get Ohtani, you want him to be a starting pitcher. He's not going to be a starting pitcher because of Tommy John. So we'll see what happens in 2025. But in 2024, he's not going to be a starter. He might even go to the bullpen and be closer for the rest of his career. We don't know. But I think Glasnow is the perfect fit right now for this Dodgers team looking to add to that rotation.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm iffy on Glasnow. The injury history is scary. He has, if you see it on the full screen there, he hasn't made a full season of starts since really his first year in Tampa Bay. Pepiot was a high-rated prospect. It's a lot to give up for 1 year of a guy and then a rotational outfield piece. But knowing the Dodgers, they're going to make Glasnow shine. And Pepiot's probably going to become a silent candidate with the Rays, so it probably works out for both teams anyways.
Probably, but we're going to take a quick break here on Stick to Sports, and when we come back, Brian and I will head into extra innings. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Stick to Sports on WTOP 10.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
Shine on that black.
Look at the bling. Do we got a diamond tester on? Yeah, that's getting bad. Yep.
10 out of 10 recommend on Yelp.
We're going to the playoffs.
I can't believe I missed that.
Every time I'm buzzed, I spend too much time on my phone. What? I should take your phone away. No. I'll call for a ride.
Wait, why does my face look like that?
I'm playing with these new face filters.
Okay, you know what? Yep, that's mine.
Kevin, I need that back.
No.
Kevin!
Welcome back to Stick to Sports. Now let's get ready for another edition of Extra Innings, and we're going to see our quick full screen here for how we've gone in the season, because we're going to do a little quick one, a little for fun. Brian, congratulations. Coming out on top this year. 27-18, that's really impressive. I was very bad, 20-25, and Alex being in second place.
Very mid.
22 and 23, but 4-1 this last week, so very impressive from him. We're going to move over to our picks of the week just for fun. Thunder versus Kings. Who do you got in this one?
Give me the Thunder. They're a good young team. The Kings have looked good, but I like the Thunder more.
I completely agree. I think the Thunder are just the better team. I like SGA and Chet combination right now, and I'm just really enjoying watching them play so far this season. We're going to move over to the NFL. Texans and Titans. The Titans are favored at -3. Who do you got in this one?
I'm worried that CJ Stroud doesn't play, so I'm going to take the Titans. They looked good versus the Dolphins, and then they continue this momentum into the next game.
If CJ Stroud plays, I think the Texans win it, but if he doesn't, I'm going to go agree with you. Titans are going to win this one as well. The Buccaneers versus the Packers. The Packers at -3.5. I'm interested in this one. I think the Buccaneers take it after the Packers lost to the Giants this week.
I think the Packers turn it around. I think Jordan Love figures it out. The Bucs isn't that. The Bucs defense is just not that good as the Giants is, I think. So I think the Packers take this one.
And now we're going to move over to the NHL. And I'm going to take the Capitals versus the Flyers. Flyers are favored at -140, a rivalry matchup in the Metropolitan Division. I'm going to take the Capitals in this one. I think it's going to be a very close game, but the Capitals are going to take it.
I agree with you. I think the rivalry game, I think Ovechkin steps up. One of his last times in this rivalry, give me Ovechkin and the Capitals.
I mean, the Flyers are good, but I think in this rivalry matchup, I think the Capitals just are going to have their number in this one. And finally, Hurricanes versus Red Wings. The Hurricanes -165 in this one. Who do you got?
Give me the Hurricanes. It's simple as that. Give me the Hurricanes.
You know, the Hurricanes have been struggling in this one. I'm going to take the Red Wings. I like them a little bit more this season. They've been up and down all the season so far, but I really like what they've built. Patrick King, Alex DeBrincat. I really like this team as a whole. So I'm going to take the Red Wings in this one. And that is going to do it for us here on Stick to Sports in this fall 2023 semester. Thank you all for watching all semester. It's been so much fun, Brian. Thank you to everybody in our crew for the entire semester, crew tonight, everybody who's been a part of it. Thank you to
Alex
Garrett.
and Garrett.
Special thanks to Alex for being a part of
Yes.
it. And thank you all for watching. Happy holidays. And
Yes.
thank you, Brian, for everything.
And come back next semester for some more.